Hello, welcome to today's show. This is Lowcountry Money Talk, and we're always joined by our expert and friend in the business, of course, Phil Bloyd, who's here today from Revolutionary Financial Group to help us navigate what's going on. Nice to see you.
Sure, good to be here again.
You know, one of the ways that we like to kick off this show, Phil, is just really kind of getting back connected with what's going on right now. And it's not always pretty, but sort of painting the picture of what's happening and how is this month shaping up.
Not to be negative, but you know, we need to understand, Jessa, where we're at, first of all, so that we can make adjustments. If we just kind of sugarcoat everything, maybe that's not doing a great service to the audience. So let's take a look at what's going on today as we sit here.
Okay.
So, inflation.
Yes.
Let's start with that.
What's it looking like?
Well, you know, as we watch different media shows, you know, you've been hearing for months, well, it looks like this month inflation is kind of, you know, tapered off or capped out, but that's not the case. So we went up again. So we're at 9.1% inflation. Easily to determine, see how much you're spending, look at your checkbook, how much are you paying for groceries. You know, we got a little break in gas prices, right?
Yeah.
But if I was paying $10 a gallon, it went to $8, but it used to be $2, I wouldn't be too excited.
It's so funny how that perception does change our mindsets. So, you know, if you would have told me 2 or 3 years ago that we would be paying what we're paying for gas, I would have been shocked, right? And now with a little bit of a dip, we sort of feel like, okay, maybe things are going in the right direction.
Your friend calls you, hey, it's $3.79 over here. What a great deal. Come and get some. And you're like, $3.79? It was like $2, you know? So, perception.
Yes.
I would tell people don't get used to a new reality. So, you know, always push for something better. But the inflation, that's something. Now, we did also get a notice on the recessionary numbers.
Yeah, and so, okay, we were talking about this in the previous show about what would happen if, of course, we did have a second negative quarter, and we did.
We did. And, you know, a lot of people were saying, well, that's not going to happen. And it's not just average folks or whatever. I was seeing large bank CEOs on financial shows saying, well, we're expecting a recession the first quarter of next year and this and that. Well, they all backtrack, but these people have access to the best data, the best analysts, and they got it wrong.
That's what's so fascinating really about talking through some of these things is it just seems like people are not able to predict right now because you hear all of these different, you know, determinations about what could happen, what this means, and then it happens and everyone's sort of wrong.
And it's funny, they're like, oh yeah, I said that. I'm like, no.
Right.
My memory is a little bit longer than 10 minutes.
Check the tape.
I'm pretty sure you did not say that. So that's an issue. Now, of course, we're in a political season. We've got midterm elections coming in November. So the government doesn't want to go with a typical definition of a recession over my lifetime, which has been 2 back-to-back negative GDP quarters. But you can look at other things, like we have an inverse in the yield curve. So on the U.S. Treasuries, the 2-year Treasury is paying a higher interest rate than the 10-year Treasury. So that's called a yield curve. That's also an indicator of, guess what? A recession. We have I think it was Ford laid off 8,000 employees. So the tech companies are laying off employees. So what what we're being fed is, well, we have a strong job market. And so we're not in a recession because we haven't had those high unemployment. But it seems to me for the last year we've had 11 million job openings and nobody's filling them.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother problem, right?
I don't know that that's a strong job market if people aren't working.
Right. Yeah, so it is interesting. It seems like all signs point to recession, why we're afraid to use the R word.
Yeah.
Well,
we have to admit we have a problem so that we can start fixing the problem. We can plan for the problem. We can arrange our finances for the problem.
Well, and that's a perfect segue for us going to break because that's what we're going to do for you today in the show. Well, Phil really is going to help us with that, but I'm going to learn and I hope you do too, so stick around.